So my guest today represents a first for the Where We Buy podcast. He is, I think, the second aerospace engineer we've had on the show, but he is our first guest from Kazakhstan. But that is not why he is here. He is here because he leads Surfaice.
Yes.
Surfaice is bringing AI to overlooked but essential workflows in retail real estate, from construction management to lease administration to fleet operations. So we're talking with Surfaice CEO and co-founder Alim Uderbekov. So we are live from Las Vegas. It's Where We Buy. Applause. Woo!
Hi, everyone.
I love it. That's right. You're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit places where we buy. So my name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. We are recording live from the ICSC PropTech stage. Welcome to the PropTech stage, Alim.
Thank you, James, for having me. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you.
So let's just start from the very top. How do you describe what Surfaice does?
So I would say that Surfaice is like AI operating system for full retail store lifecycle. It's not just another software. It's an agent that lives in your environment, use your system, understand how your data is placed, where exactly workflow you are using, so all that kind of things. So now once you plug that agent to your environment, you train that agent with the skills, which is workflows, programs that you usually use. Now that agent would able to to execute the workflows. And the workflows that we're focusing on is leasing, as you said, like lease abstraction, critical date tracking, lease execution, ended up by construction, budget calculation, estimate, the initial budget, schedule intelligence, and even facility management, understand who is responsible for that ticket based on the lease agreement. Is it a warranty case? Is it repeatable case? So all that different types, that's your internal agent that is learning from your existing system.
So I hear all of this talk about agents, people doing experiments with OpenClaw, and I hear so many different things. I hear, oh, it's kind of cool, but it's not really ready for prime time yet. Would you say that Surfaice is ready for prime time? I could right now go out there and have an agent do some of these elements of the workflow for me?
There are two pieces.
Okay.
The first one is yes, agent is ready. It's already have 114 built-in skills for camera cancellation, again, for punch walks automation, punch walk report building. So all that skills is already built in the agent. But in the meantime, agent is like a human. You hire a human, and if you expect that from day one he will start execute and produce a value, you would probably too optimistic. But if you would say that I will invest in that very talented rookie that in 3 months will learn from me, that is where the whole agentic platform is going. Even OpenClaw. I mean, if you install OpenClaw and try to do simple things, you'll probably fail. But you will spend a month trying to delegate all the different tasks and train your agent. Then you probably what is called a soul. Your OpenClaw, you would have your soul.
So you're trying to steal my soul, is that what you're saying, Alim?
It's not me, OpenClaw is trying, I'm not.
So what I'm hearing from you is that these agents, if you're willing to put in the time, they can really unlock a lot of productivity. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yes, because it's, again, it's very similar how we learn as a humans. Can, for example, you hire a person and don't give him a laptop. So it's say hey, without a laptop, do the lease abstraction. It's impossible. Okay, now you give him a laptop, but you don't give him access to the systems. You don't give him access to the email, and say hey, re-abstract the leases. Now you give him access to the email. Now he has an access to the lease document, or construction documents like drawings or like whatever, change orders. So in that case, he need to like be explained like what exactly he need to do with that at the beginning. This is a basic layer of the agent like ChatGPT, Claude. But with our agent, he already knows what is change order for retailer, what is change order for like tenant improvement, what is change order for like, buildings from scratch, like one-off projects. So this is already pre-built logic, pre-built like, intelligence.
Interesting. So let's dive a little bit more into this, the lease administration, the use case for that. Tell me more about how that works.
So for the lease administration, I would say that everything starts from lease abstraction. Because this is a one single source of truth, where you have all the agreements between tenant and landlord. And usually you have like the team of lease admins who do re-abstraction. You have a legal team who check everything. You have a business team like real estate managers who need to check that. So you have all the different layers of like, checking the documents. What we build the same layers, but on agent-like side. So agent do like, multi-layer check of all the leases, then abstract the lease, extract all the necessary clauses, dates, and then structure that data and make it available to upload to Lucernix, for example, or the CoStar. So this is the first step. Now, when we give that access to agent actually start have that access to the critical dates and closures. Now, based on this, why don't you say, ask the agent, like, show me which critical dates we need to track in next, 3 months. An agent will give you that to you. Now you see the critical dates, for example, for tenant improvement allowance. And in that case, you see that, oh, my deadline is 2 weeks. And because agent, again, have all the access to the data, you might say, like, collect the document. And the agent can go to the system, find the lien waivers, find the an original agreement, lease agreement, original term, find all the certificates of occupancy, collect that data. If he's missing that data, he knows that who was the project manager, who was the GC. It can draft you an email, say like, hey, can you allow me to send that email to the GC and to the project manager? You might say all internal emails allow, all the all the external with permissions. So now agent will do and execute all the process. So this is how the lease admin works, and this is just one example of one of the skill. But there is also CAM reconciliation. When the landlord send you CAM, you need to check that. Again, agent can just wake up at 9 a.m. every day, check your inbox, say hey, I found that email. I already do the CAM reconciliation. Yeah. It is prepared response to the landlord.
So how comfortable are you in your day-to-day letting an agent just shoot off emails to people? How successful has that been? That, for me, that's a little scary, right?
I think yesterday you talked on the podcast that eventually your agent will talk to my agent, and the agent will talk to each other. This is the future. Yeah. I don't think that right now you have to do that. Yeah. You still need to check your email. You still need to click send. Why? Because the context that you have, for example, I know James. I know how to draft email to James. That's why I want to redraft it a bit. That's for sure. This is the logic that is behind our system as well. We know that people not trust AI. So instead of trying to fight to that pattern, we start okay, you don't need to be afraid because you have a control. So that's kind of how we're working on this.
Okay, that makes sense. So we talked about lease administration. We touched on a few other things. What are some other skills that Surfaice is skillful at? What else can it do?
I really love the skill punch walks. Okay. Because usually the punch walks, especially in retail, is something that lives in the emails, in Excel files, in the notes. So this is a data that you are missing. And this is what a lot of people really ready to start from. Because we don't have nothing to replace. We don't have nothing to afraid of. And this is where agent will step in. So how that works? It works you have your internal rules usually, the checklist or how you do the punch walk. And with the punch walk, you might train that agent to help your PM follow that checklist. So you simply like, work on your site, say like, hey, I'm doing the punch walk for store like 11:50. And the agent says, okay, here is like, the checklist that you need to go through. And you simply like, drop the voice note, say like, you need to reinstall that signage. We have the scratch here. This is a broken restroom like this. And then agent will everything like, look, put that into the notes. And then you simply, okay, finalize the punch walk, generate the report. Bam, report like is ready in a minute. And then you might say like, okay, now generate report for every vendor. And the agent will generate report for the landlord GC, for your internal GC, for your like architecture team, for example. And then like, bam, you already like, done everything. Instead of you going back to the hotel, open your notebook, like start typing back that thing. This is extremely helpful. This is one of the example. And going like from like this example of punch walks, we have also like schedule intelligence. One of the features that our users love most is like start my day. Because I think it is like very, very hard as for now to start your day if you have many different systems. You have Inbox, you have Excel, you have chats, you have Teams, all the different systems that you need to understand where exactly is my critical thing. And the problem is that sometimes the critical thing that you need really to be focused on, not even in your chat, anywhere, because no one actually told you that this store is like 2 days behind the project and we need to SAP like, send a permit update. And this is where like the beauty of the agent, of pre-trade agent, that he can come up and say like, hey, this is a critical one. This 2 emails is important. This is like, the schedule, like, milestone that you need to focus on. I think that kind of skills that helps like today.
So Surfaice, is it software that I install on my computer, or is it a chat interface? What's that look like?
So because we're working with enterprise customers, with the companies, usually that companies, they already have the internal environment. So it's a cloud-based system, and it's integrated like with your cloud. And what we see, usually, again, like most of the enterprise, they already like, base whole IT infrastructure in the cloud. So Surfaice is a cloud system. But if we start like deep diving into like, how exactly that works, it integrates with your internal tools, like emails, like Lucernix, CoStar. So that's how it works right now.
Interesting. And so it can run other tools on its own. Like it can open up CoStar and do some searches for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And now when CoStar texts me a number to my cell phone that I have to type in order to log on, can it do that too?
I don't know exactly specifically about that case, but I always say like, if you or your team do a lot of copy paste, we have a good news for you.
Yeah, I'd like to get all that copy and paste out of my life. Are there other skills that you're working on? Maybe you're not quite there, but you're really excited about in the future?
I'm super excited about that skill. I think sometimes we, in retail and real estate, underestimate the power of the agent. So I'm based now in Silicon Valley in Palo Alto, and I see how like younger generation adopt AI so quickly. So if you think about like I can give AI way much more power and responsibility to manage, then you might come up to the idea where you might say, hey, my occupancy cost is 45%. I want to decrease that occupancy cost for 40%. Do whatever you want, but do not like, exceed the limit of like $5,000 per week. And this is, I think this where the whole like AI is going, where you can drop the ultimate goal, and then agent will navigate through your data. And you, as a like person who is working with that system, you start like help agent to find that. Now your work is become more intelligent and less mundane, like tasks that you do the clicks. We actually calculated to open one store you need to do like about 1 million clicks. So this is 1 million clicks that we're trying to help people not to do, because you shouldn't be smart to do the click, It's not that's what's important.
1 million clicks to open a store. Wow, that's fascinating. So I alluded this at the top of the show that you started out as an aerospace engineer. I don't think commercial real estate is quite as complicated as space travel. So did you make the switch because you wanted an easier to tackle problem, or what led you to this?
My father is construction architect, and so that's why I decided to like move on into this industry. But I actually spent some time in like aerospace engineering. I was part of International Space Station mission control team for a while, and that was fun. But I'd say that it's even more conservative if you compare it to real estate sometimes. Maybe especially at that time when I was there. Retail, I love retail because it's like a sport car in construction, in retail, in real estate. You need to open store faster. You need to be more efficient to do that. If you look at that, like the one of the most efficient construction companies, McDonald's. They build like 50,000 stores, and they have all the playbooks that like describe every single step. And I believe in future where you can simply say like, "Hey agent, build me new McDonald's in Vegas," and then agent will like start deploying everything and he'll do all that thing. And of course we need like humans to generate like the creative ideas to do like the agent more efficient, to think out of the box. But all the tasks that do not need your intelligence could be delegated to AI. This is what excites me. This is what I believe, like like in AI in retail. And when I kind of like talking with the industry leaders, I say like, hey, imagine that you have a task like build first McDonald's on Mars. Will you use all the same playbooks that you have today? And I don't think so. So it excites me. I feel it's like maybe 20 years behind. But definitely, I would love to someday go to like McDonald's at Mars.
So that you heard it here first, folks. There will be a McDonald's on Mars, and it opens in 20 years. I'm excited. I like that movie, The Martian. What it was missing was a McDonald's. So clearly, that's what we need next. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the industry of commercial real estate. And you talked about adoption speed. What's the biggest obstacles you face to seeing a new tool get adopted in our industry?
First of all, it's trust.
Okay.
This is an industry where you can get trust quickly. You need to show up everywhere. You need to do the handshake, in-person meetings. I think this is number one. And in the meantime, I don't think like this is bad. This is good. Like, trust is something that will help to think about the long-term opportunity. But in the meantime, as of today, this is the obstacle, the challenge that we need to go through. The second thing is, I would say it's open mind, like a mindset, where people in this industry need to be open to use AI. And I know that if you have a little portfolio of restaurants, you will probably have every lease agreement is 10 years. Yeah. So it's totally fine for you to think in a horizon of 10 years. But AI is so quickly developing itself, actually. This is happening right now while we're sitting here, that you can't wait anymore. Yeah. And I would say that try building that habit to use AI every day more and more. This is important. But I think yesterday on your podcast, I saw the many hands was up with I using AI.
So we did a panel yesterday in front of a pretty big crowd and just asked for a show of hands of who uses AI tools in their everyday work. And I was going to guess and think, okay, we'll see 50%, 60%. It was more than 80%,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so its adoption is here. People see the value now.
And I love that. I love because the problem shifted from what's AI to hey, we have the bad prompts. We don't understand like how to do the prompts. And this is exactly where the whole industry already overcome. They know how to do the prompts. This is actually what Surfaice is. Surfaice is like pre-trained prompts for you. You don't need to create your prompts again. You don't need to sit with ChatGPT or Claude and do all that prompting again and again. You already have the library of prompts. They're already connected with the system. They already can perform and execute the workflows. This is what Surfaice is about. This is the whole industry is going there. Who have the prompts, who have that skills, and how you're going to adopt that. And it's not just about it. It's also about evaluating that, guardrails, all the security things. So this is kind of the core pieces.
Okay. So Surfaice, it's not just a test pilot. It's up and running. You've got clients. Can you talk about some of the retailers that use you?
Yeah, I can talk about JD Sports, okay, since we have the article on ICSC, so it's now publicly available. JD Sports is one of our customers. Another big retailer who is building almost 3 stores per week. They open they also start working with us. So early this year, and I think it's very successful as for now. Then we have a couple of other companies that we are working with, a smaller one. And we have a big pipeline of top retailers right now. So working hard on getting more people on that platform.
So when folks start using it, is it something that grows over time where you're continually adding skills and they're adding stuff, or is it? Tell me a little bit more about let's say I started using Surfaice tomorrow in my work. How would I just start asking it to do things, or how does all that work?
So first step, we need to connect with your context, like Lucernex, email, Excel files that you need to work with. Then we have the onboarding agent. We try to adopt all that skills to your specific system. And then the agent will simply say hey James, I know how to help you with camera reconciliation. I found that issue in your system. I found that 5 emails from the landlords. So it's when we started, it was harder. Right now, it's way much more easier. And the beauty is there is you don't need the instruction. You do whatever you want, and if agent doesn't know, you can always teach him. Yeah. So that's the beauty. And by the way, we actually wrote a book, the Store Development AI Playbook with Schaefer Jones. That one of the early copy that I want to give to you, James.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
And I think this is the first book for store development and AI. And we wrote with Schaefer, who is leading program management at JD Sport. She is our internal champion. So we try to record all that feelings, everything she went through together, and how that implementation of AI started and how it succeed as of today.
The Store Development AI Playbook. So is this about particularly her experiences using Surfaice at JD Sports?
Yes.
Okay, wow. So that's really practical.
It is practical. It's like a field guide. And it starts from her feelings, what it felt before and how it's right now.
Okay, excellent. Is this for sale? How can folks get a copy of the Store Development AI Playbook if they're interested?
They can find that book on Amazon.
Okay, it's for sale on Amazon. Very cool. From writing the book with Schaefer, what was the biggest learning you got from her rolling out Surfaice at JD Sports?
Implementation is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And building the new habits, the change management. Even everyone talking about AI right now. And I would say we are getting back to the roots, principles. You need to choose a team and the people you're working with. And that's why you need to choose Surfaice team. And we're selling the team. We're selling the team that is dedicated to help you to adopt AI. It's not about a soft, it's not about the tech. It's a good approach, but we help to do that for you. We help to build your power users. this is, I think, the core learnings from that.
You've got to get those early adopters, those champions on board to really show the value and spread the enthusiasm to everybody else in the organization.
If you think about like AI started from like software engineers. And software engineers by default, like a very big part of them, the early adopters. In real estate and construction, the part of early adopters is like 1% or less. So it's really hard to find and to develop that relationship and succeed. I would say this is important.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about that. You're right. Early adopters, different organizations have higher or lower percentages.
Yeah, we are lucky that we met Schaefer and JD Sport team, and they are very open-minded to use AI.
Very cool. So we're quickly running out of time, but I wanted to ask you, so you're from Kazakhstan.
Yes.
How long have you been in the States now?
Almost 3 years.
3 years, based out of Silicon Valley, I imagine?
I spent like almost 8 months in LA.
8 months in LA. Okay, excellent. And the move from Kazakhstan, is that really just because if you're going to grow as a company like this, you really have to be in the US? Is that fair to say?
It naturally happened to me. Okay. I lived like, in many countries. I lived in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, in Middle East. So I traveled a lot. And I built like, 3 companies. This is my third one. And I would say that when I started deep diving into AI, I realized that there is no one I can talk with about it. And it was like 3 years ago. And I was like using DALL-E first, like, models. I used ChatGPT when it was dumb. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And randomly, I believe in serendipity, to be honest.
Yeah.
So randomly, I got awarded like a top 10 entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan. And they said, hey, Alim, you should go to Silicon Valley for 3 months. I said, why not? So I went to Silicon Valley, met Tim Draper. And like in Silicon Valley, I realized like everyone talking about AI. Like literally in cafe, you like 10 people out of 10 like talk about AI. So I would say this is really important. For me, it's tremendous impact on the way how I'm thinking about AI. But in the meantime, you not necessarily need to be in US. You need to be passionate and like really curious to learn. And then you naturally will come up that why, hey, there is podcast between James Cook and Alim on ICSC at Vegas. So I would love to be there and talk to that guys.
Alim, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a fascinating conversation.
Thank you, James. Thank you, like everyone who listened that.
And if you're listening, it's Surfaice, but it's spelled AI. So Surfaice is the tool. And if you're listening and you want to hear more interviews and retail insights, you can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app. We're on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Where We Buy. And you can find us on the web at wherewebuy.show. And that's a wrap.
Wow.